My name is Samrat Sharma. I'm a senior producer at Guerrilla Games, and I handle production responsibilities at the studio.
Hello there, my name is Colm Ahern, and recently I had the chance to chat to a senior producer at Guerrilla Games and of course on Horizon Zero Dawn, Samrat Sharma, because of the PS4 exclusive's forthcoming release. I started off, I had a lovely chat with Sam, but I started off by asking him. I had noticed that throughout my time in the game that there were certain things that seemed like they'd maybe cherry-picked from other games or taken inspiration from other games, like, say, the tall necks, which are the big giraffes, if you've seen them in kind of trailers and things like that. They're very similar to the towers in Assassin's Creed, or there's a kind of a sort of conversation, kind of dialogue option wheel type thing, which could be equated to Mass Effect. So I started off by asking Sam, what series, if any, did the studio take inspiration from?
We've got the benefit of having a really diverse team at the studio is that we've got so many people playing different kinds of games, they play different kind of things, they bring different ideas to the table. But we didn't consciously derive inspiration from any game. We just decided to make the game in the genre with sort of the genre staples that come with it. You mentioned the dialogue system, for example. For us, we wanted to keep the dialogue system the way it is, because that allowed you to express Aloy's emotions or see Aloy's emotions at any given point. And that sort of allowed us to explore what that means in a narrative structure. And I can't speak for Mass Effect, but they have certain different goals for their dialogue wheel. So it's not the superficial similarity. We sort of tried to make systems that worked within the world of the game. And, you know, there are some certain sort of genre tropes that come with it, but we didn't consciously derive inspiration from any one game, I don't think.
Was there ever a decision to kind of flesh out that dialogue option and kind of go down that rabbit hole of making the player have a huge effect on Aloy's personality, where if you answered everything kind of aggressively to everyone, did that ever be considered?
No, so the narrative of the game was definitely of Aloy discovering who she is, but we wanted to create a story about this character who felt incredible amount of empathy for everybody around her and was genuinely curious about who she is and where she comes from. She's resilient, she's been taught to be resilient, and she's a certain kind of person. So we didn't want to the idea was not to allow you to shape who she is. This is who she is, that's her story. But we wanted you to explore what that means using the dialogue system. So we definitely wanted to have that. The dialogue choices and other choices you make in the game definitely have an impact, though. Some minor, some major. So it's not like it doesn't have any impact, but the personality thing, we wanted to have a personality of Aloy that we wanted to sort of explore within the constructs of who we thought she was.
Like, obviously, it's a huge departure from Guerrilla's previous efforts. It couldn't be further from Killzone in many ways. But is there anything that you took from Killzone?
Oh yeah, definitely. So the studio is known for a few things. It's known for making games that are very artfully constructed, or at least we hope that's how. So and that we have an incredible sort of depth of industrial design within the studio, and so you can see in the game that the game looks great, and the robot design draws from the same philosophy that we've had in the studio of paying a lot of attention detail to the industrial design of things, to the form and the function of those things. They're not just robots. There's a function to them, and their form will show you what the function is. And this is something that we've had in Killzone projects as well. So that's the DNA of the studio, and we've kept that alive. The other bit I would think is tactical combat. For us, combat needs to be very tactical. You need to feel that you're overwhelmed with odds, but you can still overcome them if you're tactical about the choices that you make. And we expressed it slightly differently in this game, but the core of that was still there. Like, combat was very important to us, and the combat design team was very excited to get this challenge in their hands because they've been designing Killzone combat for so long, and they wanted to sort of take that ethos and apply it to Horizon. So we've sort of kept that DNA alive.
Is there much pressure internally or externally for taking on something? Whilst there are similarities to Killzone, something so different.
I think the pressure, it was a desire more like, I think, internally to do something different, to do something new and fresh. There was no pressure from anybody. Like Sony, they're lovely. They don't tell us what to make. They just, they're happy to, be engaged in the discussion of what we want to make. And internally, there was just this desire to explore something new, to do something fresh, to do something more colourful. And there was a small team right after Killzone 3 that went away and was tasked with coming up with new ideas that we would sort of explore. And at some point, they pitched this idea. And everybody in the studio overwhelmingly thought that this was the riskiest, most dangerous thing ever, and that we should do it immediately.
It's an interesting tactic, to basically go, right, this is the thing as far away as possible to what people know about us. Let's do it.
Yeah, basically, that's how it went. Like, there are other ideas that are cool, but this is the most risky, the most dangerous idea that anybody's come up with in terms of who we are as a studio. That's the challenge we want to take on next, and that's what we ended up doing.
On a kind of a side note, I might have to fire the researcher now because they might have gotten the numbers wrong, but was there 30 or 40 different pitches around that time when Horizon was kind of being, I suppose,
they may well have been, to be honest. Usually there's no limit to the number of pitches that we do, but I think the short list was closer to like 5 or so. But yeah, there may have been even 30, 40 pitches, and then we just joined a few ideas and made that into like 4 or 5 different pitches, and then Horizon was the one that everybody was drawn to.
Another thing you mentioned was kind of tactical combat. Something which surprised me when I was playing through it was how stealthy the game is, because in a lot of the trailers and stuff you see Aloy on the back of a Strider firing arrows into a behemoth or whatnot. But yeah, the game there's a lot of elements of stealth, like coming across a bandit camp and kind of trying to pick off each target as much as possible. Was that always something you wanted to include, as well as the bombastic action taking down some of the bigger robots?
Yeah, I think the conscious choice was to express Aloy as a character who is against overwhelming odds. So you need to be clever about the choices you make. You could go in with a lot of bombast and with a lot of heavy firepower, but then you have to make the right choices with the tools and everything else that you have, your tools, your weapons, your loadout, and you have to be really tactical about the way you approach your combat, or you could be stealthy and sort of buy yourself some time. We wanted both approaches to be rewarding, so any tactic you chose for any given situation, we wanted it to be rewarding, so that was a conscious choice for us. And we definitely wanted you to feel like this isn't just this big muscled hero who can just annihilate anything in his sight. She's definitely vulnerable. She's definitely not as strong as the machines. The machines are incredibly powerful, so she has to be clever. And therefore, as a player, you have to be clever about your choices.
I do think Aloy is one of my favourite parts of the game. I think as a character, I think she's quite nuanced, and the performance of Ashley Birch is terrific. But again, kind of leading up to the game coming out, but I saw people at Guerrilla mentioning that Aloy is going to become kind of an iconic character for PlayStation. Again, that's a lot of pressure to put on a character that people haven't seen yet. Yeah. I mean, you obviously back Aloy to the hilt, but there must be some bit of wariness in bringing this product to the masses and kind of really, as I say, kind of hyping it up.
Yeah, it's definitely been a scary time for us. We thought we created a really fun character. and as you say, a nuanced character that's got incredible amount of empathy for everybody around her. She definitely wants to help people, definitely wants to find out what's going on. She's not happy with the status quo of the world. She really wants to dig deep. She's one of those people who love to scratch beyond the surface and see what's going on. And that's her. That's, if you play the beginning of the game, even as a kid, that's her personality. That's who she is. And for us, yeah, it was, we were scared. Would people like it? Would people be attracted to her? But we were confident that the character that we've created, in its design, in its look, in her writing, we've done the best we could. So we were hoping people would be drawn to her, and the first sign of it was when we started doing these trailers, and obviously that is a time where all the nuance is not readily sort of available for people to digest. But we saw this incredible wave of fan art coming our way. People drew in Aloy. A lot of people chose to dress up as Aloy and cosplay as Aloy, and we suddenly saw this surge of fan activity right after the announcement of the game. So, and we knew we'd hit on something special at that moment.
Next for Gorilla, hard to tell right now, I suppose, but I'm guessing because you seem excited about Horizon. Like I think that's very clear, even from your voice. Would there be hopes that you could continue this story?
Yeah.
A hard question to answer, obviously, right now, but still, yeah. Would you be hopeful to either continue the Horizon Zero Dawn story with or without Aloy, maybe with a different character perspective or whatnot?
I think if you play through the end of the game, you'll realise that Aloy to us is a special character through which we would definitely want to explore this world. We haven't yet thought that much into the future. We just finished this game. Everybody's just, it's absolutely just, we're completely hammered, and we're just sort of this giant collective sigh in the studio that the game is done. Now we're waiting. Now we're just excited to see what people think of it. And yes, we'll start having meetings soon on what we want to do next. Yet there is, I think, just an incredible amount of fan activity around this game. People love Aloy. People love the world. So that's definitely something that inspires us.
Where does this rate as kind of on the challenge scale for even for you personally? Because you've worked at EA, isn't that right? Yeah, and Ubisoft.
Yes.
And obviously the Killzone series. So where would you rank this as a challenge?
This one. So this one was incredibly challenging. I think on a scale of 1 to 10, this was at an 11. It's something that the studio's not done before. This team hasn't been used to working in a certain process before of making an open world action RPG. Any one of these things is incredibly daunting for a new studio. All three of them together, that becomes it's a big challenge. Thankfully, we had the right sort of skill set that we hired from across the world, and then the existing talent in the studio was able to rise up to the challenge, and we made a team that worked well together in the end and delivered something special. But yeah, this was a challenging thing for us to do. It helps that our technical team, they're basically magicians, they're wizards. They came up with a tech pipeline that in the end just made everything so easy to do. So we're just incredibly thankful we've been able to, make to what we think is a really polished level of quality.
But what about Sam Sharma though? in terms of your, because obviously the producer kind of keeps things ticking over, must make sure everyone is must crack the whip obviously at times when needs be. But yeah, would you, like, obviously very hard for the studio itself. Is this the most rewarding thing that you've worked on?
I would think so, yeah. I think definitely. I think the amount of work that we put into it, the amount of work that everybody around you puts into it, and then you see the fruits of your labor come out, and even before the game is out, you see so many fans just latching onto your main character that much love that we've been seeing from the fans, from the cosplayers. It's incredible. It's definitely something that we've hit on something very special, and I think that feels most rewarding in the immediate sense, right? We haven't had reviews out, we haven't had praise for the reviews and so on yet. All we've seen is people play the game and praise it. All we've seen is people see the trailers and want to draw her or dress as her, and we think that's just incredibly rewarding.
And I suppose on the flip side of that, what would be the case if, kind of worst case scenario, I suppose the game comes out and maybe it kind of doesn't meet the expectations that you have or the team has? Like how does Gorilla kind of take that in, and how does it kind of move forward after that?
I think we've made something where we're quite proud of. So at this point, we're hoping for the best. We hope that everybody loves our game. But even if that doesn't happen, we know we've made something special. We made a character that people love. We've made a world and a sort of universe that is fun to deep dive into. So I think we'll just learn from it if something goes awry, but we hope not.
And what's the one thing that you hope players come out thinking after playing Horizon? And I suppose as well as that, what's the one thing you think, the smallest thing that's in Horizon Zero Dawn that maybe might even go over some players' heads that you're quite proud of? Like not even, like you mentioned the lighting, which the lighting is terrific. The music as well, actually, which I think I think the music is fantastic. But yeah, is there any one kind of small, minute thing that you're kind of especially proud of?
I think it has to be Aloy and her character, and it's not small as in it's subtle, right? It's not small, I don't think, but it's subtle. The fact that there's this one lone individual that has incredible amount of empathy and love for everybody around her, wants to help everybody, but is faced with daunting challenges and giant robots and giant machines all around her, and yet she doesn't give up, and yet she persists. And I think that's an incredible thing that I think people would do well to learn from. It's subtle, it's small, but I think if people see that, they can. I think that's a great takeaway. Like in the end, if that's the theme that you take away from the game, we'd be very happy.